Hi, there is something I want to talk to you about. Sometimes people ask me, what is it that you do? What's your line of work? Is it NLP? Is it hypnosis? Is it something else? I'd like to say, well, uh, I like to start in the beginning. Uh, for me, it's about a great journey. You travel someplace, sometime, and during that travel, you meet people, you interact with people, and you share some common ground. Let me be a little bit philosophical here. That when you're doing you, so you are doing yourself, so you're expressing yourself, and when you're interacting, communicating with someone, you're in some ways are understanding that this is me doing me, this is them doing them. So when you're communicating or interacting with them, you can understand yourself and your own position and your own, whatever you're talking about or stand for. And then you can understand what they stand for and what they are, what they're doing in their lives. So during this great journey, people are meeting and interacting and sharing ideas and parting ways and stuff like that. That always happens. Back in the day when human race was basically nomads, that was depending on the season was traveling around the world with deers and elephants and hunts and water and to survive. It becomes a little bit different in them. And I want to get across this idea of that whatever has happened to you in your life, bad, good experiences, it doesn't matter, because you can always redefine and transform yourself, or whatever you call it, change, you name it, to become the you want to be, or you become more of the you are. Because I meet people who are really, really old, 70, 80, 60, 50, even younger people also, that live lives they do not, well, they're not happy with them, they're not content, but they stick with it because their culture, socially, culturally, whatever reasons, are forced into it, and they're not happy. And I think that's one of the key differences when I'm trying to do things, that you have to do things you're content with and which you're happy with. Sometimes people get in their own way, they have fear around their lives, they have trust issues, they can't trust people, and most people are actually not trustworthy. Yes, So traveling around the world is one thing, but you also have to travel inside, your own head, and have that kind of a journey in your life. It's early morning here, by the way, so yes, it's about 6 a.m. I woke up early today. It was pretty hot inside, so I decided to go up early. This is way earlier than I normally wake up, and decided to talk about, the great journey. So many, many years ago, about 28 years ago, I met a girl, and she helped me define what love is, at least for me. Years later, I was, coming across this book by Anthony Robbins, Unlimited Power, and I found something that struck a chord in me, that this is kind of cool. I can do things with this. I can actually use my own head to influence changes, and I could understand it. So I was like hooked on that. So I'm starting to find ways to get educated in that, whatever he was doing. I went to a 2-day workshop in London with him, and I found out that he lied on stage. And since he lied on stage, I was like, what the fuck, dude? Come on. So instead of going with the Robbins or trying to get more inside, within that kind of system or whatever he was doing, I tried to get education in what was called, as people know as NLP, or Neurolinguistic Programming. And in Sweden there was none. You know, I was like, you know, I was searching for NLP education, was none out there. However, today, 17 years later, there's like 20 institutes in Sweden teaching NLP in the various forms. And I know where that started. It started with me. So I get this, you know, thing called NLP on the road in Sweden. And sure, a lot of people had interest. People had, you know, oh yeah, I like that. But so I started that, you know, NLP catalyst action in Sweden. You can trace that back to my actions. And I love them. First love, second love, if you, depending how you count it, second love. But I didn't like what they were doing with it, and well, I couldn't understand how to use it in the context I was using it. The thing here is, well, I wanted to do a little bit more with it, but I couldn't do that with NLP. That was too limited. So I was trying to find other ways to do it without the technology and all that stuff, but there was nothing out there that made sense. By chances, I was in a workshop back in 2003 with a guy called Jos Brigg. He runs a seminar called Myth to Self. It's about, I don't know, at your best, connecting to other people, greater than yourself, and some kind of mythology, you know, living your own story, narrative of life, something like that. And I still don't get that. Personally, I was like, you know, I have a hard time with stories. I mean, I can tell stories always if people like it and people want. I can make people jump up and down and have the, you know, a party or a circus, whatever you call it, high on drugs if you like. I just don't do that. I find that myself, you know. It's fun to do, test maybe, but I mean, do it for years and years, just nothing new. Since I was sick, been sick for about 12 years, my body doesn't work because I lack a thyroid and gland and all that stuff. Things happen. But all that besides, the thing here is, whenever we interact with you know, the world, either socially, culturally, all that stuff, we are, you know, doing something that's ongoing construction of reality. So you can redefine your reality and redefine whatever you're doing. But most people don't do that. They are happily living with every life they have, and I'm fine with that. I can understand that. But if you want to have a, you know, sense of purpose or a meaningful life or something like that, most people don't take the time to define that kind of, you know, purpose or meaning or stuff like that, or existence or whatever it is. So if people ask me, well, it's a great journey, you know, things happen along the way, more or less. What can I say? I met a really good, a lot of people who were really good and fun along the way. When I was teaching NLP, I tried to get people into this, you know, this idea of be able to do things with NLP, with other people, like in a coaching situation or a therapeutic situation and stuff like that, or as a friend. So if my friend was telling me, you know, my life sucks, they would be able to do things. And I had some student that would, in the context of work, was doing absolutely magical stuff. As I've been telling, you know, here I've been writing about. Have some people sometimes, you know, take things, do things with whatever you teach. It's kind of magical in many ways. And we have a grass clipper, grass mower, lawn mower, early in the morning. Well, they start working early because, you know, that's life for them. And it's a wonderful morning here, by the way. It's clear blue sky. It's pretty warm. Summer has definitely arrived. And the town is kicking off. So it's a journey. And if this guy is going to along this No, it's a vacuum cleaner actually. He was vacuum cleaning the outside the community center we have here. Okay, back to the topic. Well, it's a great journey, so you can get disturbed by anything out there. But you have to, you know, focus and you know, get back to whatever you're doing. That happens. You get distracted, something. You need to solve stuff along the way. So obviously you need to, you know, okay, I need to take care of that now. Then I go back to the business, what I'm trying to do or achieve or whatever you call it. So when I started doing NLP, my idea was that to be able to do things with it. So I made sure people was able to do things with whatever I was teaching at the time. A lot of my students said that, you know, there are a lot of people who they met who'd been to a training NLP practitioner, most people they couldn't do anything with it, and they asked me why. I said, that's the difference in quality. If you're teaching people, maybe should be able to do things. Not come back later and ask, you know, I tried this, you know, some modality change and it didn't work. Like I was told by, you know, one of the founders of NLP, and it didn't work. So I was like, you know, I didn't do it right then. Yeah, right. You can teach, however, mathematical heuristic model, but you also need to understand people in some ways. That, you know, I like quality firsthand. That doesn't mean that I always know what kind of quality it's going to be or what it's all about. Anyway, I came across Joseph Riggio myself. Some people know that. RBIM is a modeling work. I did that back then. 2 days he was presenting the model. And for me, it sums up in today. It's a great journey that you are yourself, doing yourself. You doing yourself. And if you understand that kind of position or kind of experience, once you communicate in that kind of concept to other people, you can understand who they are and what they are doing and how they are defining themselves. That's one way of communicating. And because society as a culture and socially doesn't let you be yourself. Basically, they've tried to force you into the mainstream, you know, theme, whatever that is. If you live in Russia, you know, kind of used to the fantastic idea of communism or the social revolution. It basically sucks if you live in Russia. Back in the 80s, when a lot of Russian athletes get over to Canada and play ice hockey, something like that, so, you know, they would fill the shopping wagons because they were not used to have the food in the shop, in the market, to be there the next day. So coming to a new country and a culture where they have the food, you know, was still going to be the next day, was a kind of a shock culturally for them. And if you're doing, you know, the old religion of economy, that the finances will fix everything in society, well, I gotta spread to you that doesn't work either. And, well, so for me it's a great journey. And since people are not allowed to be themselves, you have to find ways to be yourself and express that in your own way. So you can stay, you know, I'm interacting with a lot of people over the years, and I have to let them be who they are within the framework or context what I was working with when I was teaching NLP or when I was teaching what I'm doing right now. This is called RBIM, or Realization Behavior Integration Model, which is basically, I can name it anything. I mean, for me it's a new NLP. It's definitely, if people ask me what are you doing, well, it's RBIM, so what's that? Well, it's basically the next NLP or the new NLP, whatever you call it. But you don't call it NLP, yes, I know, it's not NLP. When people say, "Oh, you're playing a word game here or semantics," you know, no. And yes, basically no. So, you know, whatever. I mean, I met this guy when I was doing a workshop, 2-day workshop. I got a mail from a guy. He lives down under, it's called Steve, and he was mailing me that he was thinking about coming to Sweden to do this 2-day workshop with him. So this guy from Australia, that's basically the other side of the earth. That's about 15-hour flight trip and all that. So he was basically going to spend the whole week, going for a 2-day seminar. So I said, hold your horses, we can do some Skype sessions, and I will make sure you get this during that. And he was diligent student, some people like to say. He was doing this, and I've been upgrading him and updating him what I was doing and been doing for the last 8 years, you can say. Or 9 soon. And he's doing well. So when you're doing this, philosophical, as I like to say, this about existence, or why are we here, or why am I here, or whatever. You have this kind of social cultural thing going on all the time, depending on the language you come from or where you live. I mean, if you live in South America, you have this idea of family, and whenever some family member who has been living in another country, like maybe Sweden, come back, everybody going to visit. So you get to see every cousin and cousin's cousin that you never knew existed when you go back to your home country now. And for some people who have been living in other countries, it could be a kind of culture shock, even though they are from that country, even though they lived there from the start. So a lot of times in life, things happen. And along the way of this great journey, or whatever you call it, you interact with people, you interact with places. It shapes and forms your life. Whatever memories you have about your life, whatever things that happen in your life, it doesn't matter, because the brain is always doing the present moment. The brain is always constructing reality right now, right here. And if you, living inside this, as I've been talking about before, contextual reality in the glass of stuff, I'm not going to turn this upside down. It's coffee, by the way. Good milk, no cream, as I like to say. So if you're inside the contextual reality and keep on doing things inside this contextual reality, nothing happens more than whatever is going on in your life. So to pick a new path or travel in a different direction, all that stuff, can be either easy or it can be really hard, right? It can be actually really complicated, because sometimes you have, you made promises, or you have made decisions to do things, but you find yourself out of time or not be able to do it because, and you have to, it will degrade your integrity of life, whatever So you have to decide differently. I can't do this kind of line of work in this way, so you have to change directions. And that's what I've been doing. I've been sick for 12 years. I'm not well. And I can work at a limited capacity, and I accepted that, so I can move within that kind of, limit, and try to find ways to extend my energy levels and to extend my kind of work load and all that stuff. But basically, I can't do whatever I wanted to do once. And it's not the age, some people say, and the thing here is, whoever you are, wherever you are in your life, doesn't matter, at least for me, because you have to define yourself whatever you want to be or want to be in this moment. If you live a life where you're not happy, find a way to define so you can live a life that you are happy. Well, I can't, because the economy is down the drain, or I'm living in a cellar in Hungary, and life sucks, and it's not easy. Well, at least you have some kind of friends or connection you can watch on YouTube, on the internet. Well, but it doesn't matter. You have to start somewhere, and you have to start wherever you are, the place you are at the moment. You can't, just go, oh, well, I have to wait for someone to, come and get me and save me or something like that. That doesn't work. And it may take a while, a few years maybe, I don't know, months. But you get there. Once you start, deciding to, I want to change this and I want to do something. Because you can't change whatever is going on. When you are inside the contextual reality, you don't need to change that. What you need to do is define a new context, a new form of future. So we start to use in the future things that's going to happen as we want them to happen. and use that as a reference to define and form our experience today. So even though, you know, things hasn't happened yet in the future way, right? It doesn't matter, because all you can always control is your own experience, your own, you know, sense of feel, or whatever you know. So whenever you're going to do things, you have to have a sense of purpose, a sense of, you know, this is me doing me. This is, you know, oh, this is me doing me. Oh, cool. And I want to have this kind of experience when I can, you know, be centered. I can be, you know, peace of mind, or in the flow, or in the zone, or in a focused, you know, effective, or I can be happy, or I can be, you know, really passionate about things, you know, really curious or fascinated, or. And this is me when I go into this meeting, business meeting, and people go, you can't go into a business meeting and be happy and joyous and stuff like that. Why not? Because I have these great ideas. Well, people in your company doesn't like those great ideas. Well, I make a new company, create a new company, a new idea, build that. Well, I can't do that because I don't know how to do that. And I said, you don't need to do everything in the company, because the company is built of a CEO, a secretary, or something like that, or financial advisor. You know, it's a lot of people. If you're going to do all those people yourself, there's a lot of work in your company. So you have to find a way of defining you, expressing yourself, like Madonna did, expressing myself, all that stuff. Because when you have this kind of, you know, let's call it purpose, for the simplicity of it. So you have this kind of purpose, you know, you have this kind of internal, you know, understanding of yourself, who you are, what you're doing in life. And the key thing here is that you don't need to do anything. You can just sit down on a porch, or some people take a walk, long walks. Some people like to run. I had a student who liked to ice skate on the frozen beds for miles and miles. That's the best thing he can do. He can't do it every year, because depending on the weather, sometimes there are ice, sometimes you just snow, you can't skate like that. But whenever he has the chance and opportunity, he skates for hours and hours and hours on ice beds and rivers and stuff like that, frozen rivers. And for him, that's, you know, a highlight of the year. Something like that. So people are different, you know, than you. We like to think when we communicate with someone that they share the same interest, we have exactly the same taste and all that stuff. People don't have that. People are always different. And I tried to get that across with my sister's kids class many years ago, 10 years ago. He had more like 8 years ago. He had a lot of troubles in school. He came to talk to the school class and told them that they were all different. They're long, they're short, they had glasses, they had no glasses, different haircuts, different way of pronouncing words. They can speak like this, you know, and talk like this, or they could talk like this a little bit more. So even though you're in the same language, you speak and talk differently than anyone else. And people don't think about that. Well, and I'll go like, well, if everybody's going to be the same, everybody should speak the same also. Because you can dress the same. That's one way of doing trade. The UK and English school uniform system. Well, we make everybody look the same, and then we're all the same. That doesn't work, by the way. Because in English, you know, in all the other countries, everybody knows that we are different. And the thing here is we don't accept difference. That's the problem. If you accept that everybody's different than yourself, there's no reason for prejudice and all this kind of adult or kids, you know, almost kill each other because they're different. Everybody's different. Everybody thinks they are going to be the same as everybody else, but that kind of thing doesn't work. Human beings basically are all different. I'm different from every family member I have. I'm different from my parents. I'm different from my, you know, friends. I'm different from LP people. You know, I try to talk to LP people, but you know, it's really hard to talk to them because they're so stuck up their ass with the model of LP. So It's really hard. Well, this NLP, this and all of that, language pattern, that, all this. That's all kind of cool and fascinating for about a year or something like that. You can run NLP, language pattern. You can run anchoring. You can run rapport models. You can, do a lot of things, and it's a great communication protocol. It's really an NLP. But as a model, it doesn't tell you how to live your life in a way that works in a happy way, or in a content way, or a peace of mind, or whatever you call it. Because if you want that, you need to define you and how you are yourself. So you understand that kind of internal reference, and we call that in RBIM for a vestibular reference. It doesn't mean anything because no one else can see it, but when you have that kind of reference, you have an internal reference point in yourself where you, if I have my focus there, then this happens. I get this response in my body, I get this response in my brain, I get this internal feel, and I can express that then. Yeah. Oh, cool. And then people can, sit down and be content, whatever, life offers them. Or not. Maybe they start to, thinking, oh, then I can do this, I can do that. They get really excited about things. So it's different. Again, different. Because I've been writing this blog on NLP for a few years. I was basically writing blog posts basically 5 days a week, 7 days a week sometimes. And I was writing a long, text. And a lot of people complained about that because it was so long. They didn't have the time to read it. Because I was writing it and I was reading it 2 or 3 times to spell check and all that stuff. And I had time to do that obviously because I find that kind of important when I was writing it. But people who was reading it, it was it's too much text and all that stuff. So a lot of people want simple things, short text and I got this, But that doesn't necessarily change your life or transform your life or stuff like that. I had this guy from Europe reading every post I made for about 2 years, about 750 or something like that. He found my website and just pouring it, running it down, and I find that fascinating. I think it's human beings are a lot about collecting information. They want information because people have this idea: if you have enough information, then life will change, right? If I have this information, boom, life will really open up, and I can do things, and that's not true. You can ever have met people who had really good information gathering skills. They know a lot about stuff, but they couldn't do anything with it. It was like, wow, cool ideas, cool ideas, but nothing happens. So you have to collect information to a point to, define wherever you want to go. Because if you don't know where to go. So I'm starting this, 2 years ago I started this idea about the golf game. I wanted to be able to have a pro level golf game. I got that now, it took me 2 years. But I didn't know how to get there. But I said, I want to have this pro quality game. So it took me 2 years to define it. I've tried different ways and approaches during this time. And I apply what I'm teaching and doing, something like that. So after 7 months this winter, I've been working my golf swing, and a week ago I had a finalized moment when I felt that, okay, now I got it. I got the swing down into be able to do it in the way that my body can do it. I can't play in the level I want because I have a hard time focusing on holding my experience when I'm playing golf because it takes a toll on me when I'm walking. So my system doesn't respond well to when I'm exercising and strain myself. So I accept that. I have to play golf in a way. I can play maybe once a week, twice a week, something like that. Excuse me. And I can do that, but I can't play the level of game I want to full time. So that's okay. I accept that to an extent. But at least I know my game is getting better. I get better. Short game, I get better. Putting, I get better. Long driving, all that stuff. So I'm hitting the ball about 5 clubs long. And if you talk to anyone in golf industry, hitting 5 clubs longer, well, I hit my 7-iron about 200 yards. And people go like, whoa, that's long, right? So I'm hitting the golf ball a long way now. And I'm, 48 years old, so big. So I was, as I was been telling before, I was taking this pro, and I changed the golf swing in 3 weeks, and I helped him define it and redefine it in a new way. And for him, it took 3 weeks to make the change, not 2 years, as everybody else is talking about. Because a lot of people assume how the brain works and how the brain learns based upon common written assumptions in the field. And when you start doing things that I do, I found the ways that, I think the brain can learn differently. And I took this guy in the pro, changed his swing in 3 weeks, helped me do that and how we should do that and all that stuff. And it was opening up a whole new world for me. I've been doing this for about 20 years now. So, and for me it opened a new world. I was like, whoa, this is cool. You can change that in 3 weeks. What's going on here? So I've been, researching that a bit and all that stuff. It's a great journey for me. For me, some people ask me, what do you do? Well, I'm analyzing human behavior or logistic, depending how you define it. And I'm analyzing that, and I find a way to understand how it works and try to improve on that. So I can make it a little bit more simplified, but basically more effective. So I can take something and either shorten the time to do it, as you talk about modeling NLP, or increase the output or whatever you do it. So you do get more for less. You do a little bit, but you get a lot of more output on it. And so since perception rules inside the contextuality, perception rules, so whatever you believe or value and assume to be true about yourself in life and wherever you have been, wherever you are, that's always true in this kind of contextuality. Get into the next context and future reference, all that stuff you work with, the perception follows. The thing here is whatever's been true in your life doesn't come along with the new context. And a lot of people have trouble leaving the old context. Because it's been, I've been living my life like this for 30 years. I can't, start to feel happy or stuff like that. I'm going like, well, no, why can't you be happy? Well, my wife is not happy. Well, make her happy then. Well, that's not why we got married. And okay, well, maybe it's time to find someone else then. So sometimes people stay in the marriage because, they do the convention. And I why would you care about convention? Why not, just not, be happy? Well, you know how it is. And I said, no, I don't. Because I can't understand the kind of thinking. I can understand it the way, why the reason and the way you do. The logic they use to rationalize it. But I couldn't do that, I was like people. So I'm trying to convey a message about the great journey. So things going to happen a long way. You're going to have your contextuality. You're going to maybe struggle to get into a new context. You can apply change technologies. You can apply NLP. You can apply metastates. You can apply DEG. You can apply NRR. You can apply, free the mind. You can apply psychology. You can apply, meditation, whatever you call it, to your current contextuality. And that's fine and dandy if you want to do that, because that's cool, because that gets you something to, hang on to, and I can change this, behavior and stuff like that. But how do you define yourself with that technology? How do you know that you are you and this is me doing me? How do you know this is me doing me? And well, you can change that. You can apply a change technology to that. You have to have a model of technology to define who you are, not change who you are. Some people say, I'm a elucidist. I say, I don't think so. If I'm elucidist, it's kind of your future experience. You're not elucidant anymore. You're something else. because and when you have that kind of context, that kind of experience, it changes your perception. So you go like, I can't understand what I was thinking before, or telling people before that I was a loser. I can understand what I was doing that, and I go like that's because when you shift context, you shift your experience, whatever has been going on doesn't make sense anymore. Some people we can call that a reality shift or whatever you call it, but people that they don't identify with what was going on in their life at the time, because the brain is always adapting to whatever contextual reality you're running at the time. That's what the brain does. It's always ongoing construction of reality right now, here now. So I decided on my blog that I will start doing this kind of stuff due to talking to you guys or girls or cross-dressing transsexual whatever. I like Eddie Zorn myself. He's a cool guy. He's dressed like a girl. He likes girls. A lot of people have trouble with difference. When you dress differently, talk differently, and act differently, that's kind of scary. And I agree. Some of the things people do are really scary. But if you know who you yourself are and how you express yourself and all that stuff, then it's okay to be different, or same as everybody else. Because that's the same thing basically. Because if you don't understand yourself and who you are, that becomes generality. So you understand, oh cool, and then you interact with other people. You understand how they are different and the same as you. So you get both sides of the communication, circle or something like that, or exchange or whatever. People go, that's kind of interesting. I like that. So. Communication, NLP, whatever you call it, whatever I call this RBIM, this is the new NLP for me. The contextual reality, how you change context, how you start to identify with the context experience you want to have, defining yourself. Because if you're going to define yourself, you can't do that with NLP. NLP is all about change. Because they're modeling people who did change. They didn't model people who had, defining themselves. So if you don't have a model defining yourself, and other people who did define themselves, how then what you want to well, I didn't think about that. And I go like, I did think about that. Because when I had a client sometimes, I was like, doing think what I was doing, but I didn't do NLP really with them. What I was doing was what I'm teaching, been teaching, what you call a transformation, whatever you call it, the change direction of their lives. That really is fun, because any change technology out there, when it works, always change the context for the individual, to change the reality and identification of that stuff. And you can learn to, collect information and change all the calibration and all that stuff. Okay? That's the technical side of it. And I said before, I want your questions, comments, whatever, if they're useful in some way for you, obviously. If it's useful for me or interesting for me, I don't know. But ask the question. Make a comment. If you have something you want to know about, I have my opinion about, ask. I will give it, whatever it is. Might not give the answer you want to hear, but hey, that's why you ask for my opinion. What else today? It's a great journey to travel through life. That's about, 80, 90, 100, 150 years, I don't know. Depending whatever they come up with on technology and drug industry and medical care and stuff like that. But life happens right now. Whoever you are been watching this, I salute you that you've been listening to this travel for, half hour or whatever it is. The thing here is that you have to define the future. Whatever has been true for you in your life, whatever past experience, memories you have about your life, the brain always adapts to reality. They always adapt to the circumstances. And I gave a simple example I like to give to people. When I moved to the new apartment, it took me 3 months to accept and assume and adapt. This is the place I've been living for forever. And I knew that I've only been living here for 3 months. That's how my brain adapted to my environment. And your brain, in your contextuality, has adapted to whatever environment you're interacting with. So the environment then becomes the contextual reality. It's become, similar. So then when you're trying to get out of that, you have all this cultural condition and social condition, all that stuff going on, and it can be tough and complicated. I don't, say anything about that, but you have to start defining a new reality, and when you start defining a new reality, what we call a future reference, a future now reference, things start to happen because you start to, I would like to have it like that. That would be really cool to have it like that. But I can't have that because it would be, so fantastic. But once you get the idea of this is what I really want, nothing stops you. Because when you get to that, level of, if I had that, it would be really, really cool. When you get that kind of, an idea in your head, you will get there somehow. You don't know how, you don't know, how it will happen, but you will start doing things. You start reading, you start taking action, you start to apply changes, you buy new clothing, get a new car, whatever. You decorate your home. You just start doing exercises, losing weight, stop smoking, stop taking all those kind of drugs people think it's good for you and all that stuff. Things start to happen. And it started when you started defining it and have this kind of, ooh, I want that, ooh, that would be so cool. Because when you get that kind of idea in your head, it will become true one day. Some people take, short time, other people take a long time to get there. But you get there. But it will not happen inside your own context right as it is now. You have to define a new one. If you want to know about that, I can talk about that a bit. Because what we're doing a lot here is a lot of this, vestibular reference. So we think, this into flow stuff. We're doing a lot of that. Things, moving your body in a different way. So you get more smoothness, flowing, activating your nervous and brain in a different way that you normally do. Stuff like that. So I'm teaching this. This is what I'm trying to teach people, a lot about how the body moves and how your attention, when you focus on the vestibular system, alter your perception and how the experience can be accessed and all that stuff. Kind of cool stuff. Kind of cool. But a lot of people just want to continue whatever they are doing, fine. But if you're one of those, superheroes, wannabes, or legendary awesomeness guys, girls, who like, dressing like a superhero, maybe making a website, costume and everything. I think that's more acceptable today to do things like that. I mean, some people in America like to dress in the Star Trek uniforms at the workplace and all that stuff. And people think, really corny, but it's no different basically than to dress like, have a football jersey and stuff like that. It's just most acceptable for the norm or in your culture and social reality, conditioning, all that stuff. Some contexts and cultures, you can't dress like that because you get killed. Some think it's just cool that you dress like that. No, I don't have a superhero uniform if you ask me. I don't have that. Am I gonna get one? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't decided what kind of superhero costume I want. I can have several, I think. But if you're one of those guys and girls that like, superhero stuff, awesome stuff, legendary stuff that you're extended over the ages, well, you're one of those on the great journey, more or less. Well, I can be talking about for a couple of hours more, but I feel a bit tired, and I'm ending this session today. Have great fun wherever you are out there traveling through life in a great journey.